We want to flat out dominate it. We don't want them to get on the bus or the plane and think they had a shot. That's what we're trying to do.
Tiger fans, welcome to episode 265 of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. Apple Podcast and Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. And we are back. Ken Clark, Zoe, DeLorean. What's good, fellas?
What's up, D. Corsi? What's going on, Zoe? What up? What up, Tiger Nation? What's happening, man?
What's up, super producer Corsi? What up, Ken Clark? What up, the I Love family?
I can see the smiles on your faces, fellas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Still smiling, right? I don't even know where to start, man. I don't know where to start. I'll start here. Coach Prime, he does it again, right? He is batting what, Zoe?
1,000.
We say it all the time. He's betting 1,000. When this man speaks, people need to listen. He's not just talking. What he says, it has meaning, it has value, it has substance behind it. He's been telling us all along that the plan is to dominate, right? He said the team that won the SWAC championship, swept through the SWAC, wasn't a dominant team, and that's all he's been preaching. And he told us a couple of days ago that he doesn't want the opposition to get on the plane going back or the bus going back home feeling like they had a chance. He wants them to know that they didn't even stand a chance. And I know that's how FAMU went home on Sunday rather. So a whole lot to unpack. I don't know where to start, but give me some initial thoughts on this dominating win.
Well, I mean, it was everything that Coach Prime wanted. We just left no doubt. You know, the offense dominated, defense dominated, special teams dominated. Everybody showed up and pretty much feel Coach Prime wishes, man. Safe to say that Florida A&M left their game and their fans left their game without a shadow of a doubt that Jackson State dominated them.
I mean, to Zoe's point, if you just go and take the comments from Coach Willie Simmons, head coach of the FAMU Rattlers, he said that this game was tougher than their first game. You know, they took on UNC, and we talked about it. Zoe and I touched on it a lot. You know, after that game, Zoe DeLorean strikes again and says, "Hey man, Jack State defense is tougher than UNC," and it sounds crazy. And that's one of the things we touched on the entire time this weekend. Is just like it sounds crazy to say that, but in actuality, when you really look at everything that the coaches went out to try to address, to see it come to life, you see that it's not so crazy when saying that. Because I mean, bro, that was an utter beatdown. And like I said on Sunday, we could have very easily put up 70 points. And I know we're going to probably touch on it because there's two plays that I can pinpoint that I know for a fact that had it happened, Herman Smith, you owe me one, brother. That pick six, J.D. Martin, that drop pass over in it, hey, man, it could have very easily been 70 points put up. So like Zoe said, total domination from the coaching to every level, every position group. I mean, from the time we got to Miami, we dominated. So kudos to the coaching staff and the team for making a statement. Like I said on the preview,
you said it.
This was a statement game, and they made a statement. Love it.
What a statement. Man, there's so many talking points. There's so many things we could take away from this game. Like I said, I literally don't know where to start. But I think we have to start with QB1. Number 2, Shedeur. And you guys know I'm notorious when it comes to talking about the leap that any college football player makes from year 1 to probably any professional player as well in any sport. So I expected Shedeur to be better, but I wasn't expecting to see what I saw on Sunday. And when I think about it, like why was he able to get so much better? I think it was several things. That progression that any player should have from year 1 to year 2. But if you factor in an improved offensive line and then Coach Brett Bartolone, those are 3 major reasons why he had that leap. But you talk about, I'll let you guys take. I don't even want to get started on Shedeur. Composure. Go ahead, Zoe. I know you want to talk about this.
I mean, yeah, you hit the on the head. I mean, it's the obvious growth. First, it's the visual, what we see. Mm-hmm. He's gotten bigger, but also he was always confident, but now he's exuding his confidence, and he's spreading it out amongst the offensive team. But also, you go into, like, dare I say, he's running faster now. He has total command of the offense, total command of his arm and ball placement. He's great he's a true pitcher at quarterback to me. You know, he has the arm to throw for velocity, throw deep, throw timing, and he has great accuracy on ball placement for his receivers, and he showed that on the run too. But the one thing that also stood out to me with this team that was the main issue from last season, you guys, was we didn't start slow. We didn't start slow this game. We kicked off soon. We got the ball first possession, methodical, long drive down the field, and we scored. Mm-hmm. You know, we did that only one other time all of last season. Mm-hmm. So that right there is a big stark contrast in the new growth and the new development of this offensive team.
They call him grown for a reason. Shedeur looked like a pro on Sunday, and I mean that. I mean, barring when we're doing this, we can project. I mean, we know that after 3 seasons you can enter the NFL, but Corey and Zoe, he was 17 for 17. I don't care what level you playing on. It's hard to do.
It's hard.
Corey, we can play Madden right now. It's hard to do 17 for 17. And to be real with you, if you look at his first incompletion, the first incompletion came as a result of Isaiah Land getting to him a little quicker, and he didn't get it off because Dallas Daniel was wide open. So he was slightly short on that pass. But like Zoe said, not to be redundant, to try to pick up a couple of points that you haven't mentioned, it was total command of the offense. And he talked about that in the post-game press conference. He talked about how he trusts Coach Bartolone. And I know that Coach Bartolone making his debut for Jackson State is a story within itself. So I don't want to delve too deep into that because we talk about that all night. But I'll say it this way, Corey and Zoe. Tiger Talk had a chance to go check out the facilities, right? What was the thing that we talked about when we had a chance to go and view the upgraded facilities at Jackson State? There was nobody there but, us and one coach. And who pops in the room? Who pops into the facility? Grown comes in, and he's looking for a coach. We had our offensive line show. What they tell us? They said, hey, man, he wasn't happy. He wasn't satisfied with what he was seeing. He went to the whole offense and said, look, I practice. I need everybody on the field. We finna do it over and over and over again. And when you see it come to life and manifest itself, it was a thing of beauty, man. So hats off to QB1, man. He called himself in third person. He said two look pretty good out there. He didn't say it that way. But 2 got a pretty good offensive line, and 2 looked really good on Sunday, man. So that was a thing of beauty, man. He could have really done a whole lot more, but Coach Prime called the dogs off, man. Let him sit in the fourth quarter. Still finished with 5 tugs. It could have easily been, 400 yards. Could have been 7 tugs. We never. Hey, man, that was wonderful, man. So like I said, Shedeur is the real deal, man. And one last thing, I said this today. I said Shedeur could do what he did on Sunday on any team in the country. Mm-hmm. You put him on any Power 5, not trying to put him on another roster, but it doesn't matter where you put him because that kind of skill set on that level and that type of position, that type of accuracy is it can be appreciated. So we saw a professional playing on Sunday as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if we were to give out game balls, it would be tough because a lot of guys had some outstanding performances, but I know one game ball will go to Shedeur, but I want to spotlight a guy. I want to transition over to the offensive line, but before we talk about the offensive line as a whole, I just want to spotlight one guy. I wonder if you guys can guess who I'm going to say.
Ooh. On offense?
On the offensive line. Let's see if you can get if I can spotlight one guy before we talk about the unit as a whole. See if we're on the same page.
It's not gonna be my guy, so I'm gonna say Willis Patrick.
I'm gonna say Dimitri Jordan.
Dimitri Jordan. Why can't Clark? And
Number
listen,
one.
Willis Patrick, don't get me wrong, though. They
No,
all
Willis
did an
Patrick is
outstanding
good.
job. We're going to talk about the entire offensive line. So we could talk about them individually. But I mean, just one I want to give some special recognition to. Why Ken Clark? Why
Well,
did you
this
say?
is why I would say Dimitri Jordan. We had Dimitri Jordan penciled in as a guard, left guard, right? For one, he's the only player from the previous offensive line that started on Sunday. He started at left guard last season. Now, I did not have him. I know we kind of did our little mock starters. I didn't have Dimitri Jordan starting at left tackle. I didn't see that coming. And he held his own, and he had the daunting task of zeroing in on Isaiah Land all game.
Thank you.
He
That's
handled
why.
his business.
101.
He handled his business.
That's why.
Now he did. Now hold on. He did get a personal foul, and I'll take that. What we said.
I'll take that.
I'll take that because he was protecting his quarterback. Now granted, we don't want the 15-yard penalty, but Dimitri Jordan. Shout out to Big Meech.
Given the circumstances, it wasn't that he was just out there being a knucklehead, reckless. He was standing up for his quarterback. You don't want to lose 15 yards, but you let the other team know, this is my quarterback, right? There's a level of respect you're going to give my quarterback. And also just the job that he did on Isaiah Land. How many sacks did Land have? One?
He had one.
And he just
held one QB hurry, one sack.
But he
but hold on. But that sack was not on Dimitri Jordan's side. Land was on the opposite side when he got that.
Exactly.
So he actually stunted. What he did is he went out and he came inside. That I think that's the right terminology for it, where he basically baited the guard, and the guard went somewhere else. He had a clean shot straight up the middle to Shador. Hey, he got him on, but great overall job, man, of handling him over there on that side.
Definitely shout out to him. He's a person who I would say that was a surprise seeing him being a starter and then to be the only holdover from the previous starting five on that O-line to be a starter in this game. It was just impressive. But again, the O-line, we've been talking about it all season. How would this offense look with an O-line? So what are your thoughts on how the O-line performed and what we can expect this season from this offensive line?
I think being that it is game one, because we got to put it in context, being that it was game one, I'm going to give them a B plus.
Okay.
I would be willing to go A minus or even A plus if we didn't have, I would say A minus if we didn't give up any sacks. But I can't go A plus yet because it is the first game of the season and we got so much longer to go. So we got to see the evolution of this thing. But I'm going to go B plus. But that's still a far contrast from where we were at any point last season because it's night and day, y'all. It's night and day. And the one thing we all can agree on, too, when we saw this team, that line is mean and stingy. That's the beautiful thing. This line has edge to it. And mind you, we're an air raid offense, right? We're a pass-heavy offense with some nastiness to it because most of the time when you think of a pass-heavy offense, you think of a finesse lineman. Not here. These guys play with a mean streak and edge and some nastiness to it. I urge you to look at any video whenever we get in the goal line. Just go take a look at 73. Listen to him. Your ears gonna perk up. That's Willis Patrick, by the way. He talks real good to you. So, but again, I would give him a B plus, man. They look really, really good, man. But there's some room for growth, and we can actually get better than what we were in that first game.
I'm gonna get the grade out of the way. I'm gonna go A minus. I'm gonna go ahead and give him the A minus zone because I can't with that type of performance, man. I can't. It's got to be an A in my book. I mean, take the minus or plus. I don't care. They got an A in my book, and here's why. For one, I actually shared this. It was several plays, but they absolutely dominated at the point of attack. Throughout the whole game. And really, as an offense, what you're trying to get, you really want to get about 300 yards passing, you want to get over 100 yards rushing. They did that. We had a running game on Sunday. You know what I mean? Santee, shout out to them running backs. They ran hard, man. Shout out to Savion Wilkerson and JD They got in and they did their thing, but there were holes that were created. I love the way the offense allows the offensive line to block schematically, and they handle their business. If you go back to that Rico Powers touchdown and Shedeur threw to Rico Powers, and just look at the pocket. Just look at the pocket that was created. And to Corey's point, he shouted out Demetri Jordan. Demetri Jordan blocked Isaiah Land out of the picture. Like, he was out of the frame. He was so far away from Shedeur. Now, shout out to Tito. Tito chipped him, but Demetri had him handled. And you just follow on down the line. You got your guard and your center. Actually, they double team Gentle Hunt, your favorite name, Zoe. And then you got your other guard coming down to take the other D tackle. And to your point, Zoe, you just got Willis Patrick over on the right side just toying with Blake. But he gave up. He just basically, he couldn't move him. Shedeur had about a 7-yard circumference in the pocket. And I said, man, this dude could literally lay down and throw the ball from his knees. And that's something y'all know daggum well. Like Zoe said, you got to see it consistently. But there are going to be times where if it happens, then we'll grade harder. But based off what I saw on Sunday, I'm going to give the grade based off what I saw, man. There's no way in the world you got two throwing the ball around the way he did and the way the running backs ran. And I gotta doff my hat off to Coach Markinson. Because
yes.
Coach Markinson caught a lot of heat for the O-line that we had. And he went out and got the players that Coach Prime told him, hey, you go get what you want. And he went and got what he wanted. They looked great as a unit. As a whole, they looked like a band of brothers. And they dominated at the point of attack. So kudos to the O-line, man. Very, very, very impressed with what we saw. And they dominated they dominated in their roles. So that's who would get my game ball. If I was giving out game balls, I'm giving it to the offensive. I'm giving it to the big nasties up front, man. Because without them, we're not doing what we were able to do.
So let's keep it with the offense, and this is something that we've all been looking forward to. This wide receiver unit. We knew we were deep, but the thing we would always ask ourselves is, man, how are we gonna get the ball to all these receivers? Like, who's gonna be left out? Like, how is this gonna work? Like, do we have too many receivers? So was your question answered on Sunday? Was that question asked?
Well, for me, I never had any doubt. It went pretty much like I figured it would. I mean, we're not going to sit here and acquire all these guys knowing they're available to play and not utilize them, especially in the pass-happy offense. So it's pretty much just like the running game. They kind of go hand in hand. You know, we played 4 running backs during this game, and we totaled up a good average between the multitude of the running backs. But again, Santee, I believe, I'm going to go on top of my head, I believe Santee had about 9 carries. I think he ended up with 60 yards. And then you go with
Santee was 13 for 65.
13. You see what I'm saying? And so we easily cross the 100-yard threshold. But the same thing with the receivers. We're not going to have, unless somebody just happen to get really, really hot and we're exploiting something on a particular defense. Yeah, of course you're going to have a high guy with high catches and high yards for that day. And we never know who's going to get off. But even with that being said, we spread around to 12 different receivers. So right. With that, we're going to have it where I pretty much feel like we're going to throw to no less every game, no less than 8 or 9 receivers every game. And so, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and with that being said, it's going to create balance. You can't key on any one particular receiver. Also, that keeps everybody engaged. It keeps everybody's spirits up because they know they're contributing, and that helps morale as well. So.
Man, one of the things we learned from this weekend was that Shedeur and the wide receivers, they have their own languages, man. I mean, that's just something that was talked about. If you had a chance to go back and listen to the game, I know being at the game is a little different than actually watching it. But we run an attack style offense, man. I was so amazed at the way that this is we talk about that leap. Because this is a thing you can criticize Shedeur for last season. I felt like he showed favoritism in certain seasons. Don't stone me for it, but I felt like sometimes that, we know who his favorite target was. We know Warren Newman was his security blanket, and then, Keith Corbin was his primary go-to guy. But this year, you can tell that Shedeur has command of the offense, and it kind of feels like he's saying, you know what, I got to get my guy something over here. I got to throw him something over here. and you just look at how they used him. Dallas Daniels, man. Shane Hooks, man. Shane Hollywood Hooks, man, showed up on Sunday and did his thing. Had a couple of tugs. Hey, Blur Nation all day long, man. And look, one of my favorite wide receivers that I saw in this offense that I was extremely excited about was not just Kevin Coleman. It was actually Cam Buckley. I call him Cam First Down Buckley now, man, because that the way his ability to come off the line, find the actual hole in the defense, sit down, and this is one of the things, Corey and Zoe, that was very impressive to me. They don't have a lot of wasted motion. They catch the ball and get up the field. And that's a shout out to Coach T.C. Taylor and the wide receiving coaching, the coaches that are working with these guys. Let them know, look, you saw the real rack boys on display on Sunday, man. And I'm just telling you, I'm just saying, you had Willie Gaines pop up on the screen. You got Kevin Coleman catching balls. You got and look,
that's a good point.
Hold on. To your question, you didn't see Malachi catch a ball. You didn't see Trevontae Rucker catch a ball. Jonas Fortillion. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But when you look at the guys that actually played and got burned, man, bro, it was impressive to see. And Shador actually did a good job of spreading around. But not so much just the wide receivers.
I knew you were going to it. I knew you were going to it.
Hey, man, I am. Have our prayers not been answered? Man, I am on cloud number 21 right now. We went to the tight end. I told Zoe, I said, "Oh, we used the tight end." I feel like I cry right now.
No, Ken. We didn't use the tight end. We used the tight ends with it. When was the last time at Jackson State you saw a Jackson State football game with multiple tight ends catching passes?
I'm gonna use Zoe words. I'm gonna do you one better. Corey Zoe, the touchdown to Hayden Hagler. We had 3 tight ends in the game. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's happening right now? We got DJ Stevens on one side. We got Jesse Riley on one side. We line up a tight end in the backfield and come out like a fullback. I said, this is beautiful, man. I could give Coach Bartoloni a big old hug when I see him. But yeah, man, this core, not just having the weapons, but knowing how to use them, when to use them, in what situation, it was magnificent to witness.
So let's talk about this defense and specifically the pass rush, because obviously what everyone was waiting to see is how would this defensive unit respond, specifically the D-line, with the loss of a James Houston. So what was the difference between that pass rush that we saw last season, which was mainly James Houston, versus what we saw on Sunday?
It was the exact thing that we said it would be: balance in numbers. But also, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell the whole world last year, because my man disappeared, and I've been beating the drum for him. So now is when you see this. No, Zoe is going hard for you. That's the person. Niles Gaddy had a James Houston-esque performance. He should have had 3 sacks, but one got called back for an offset penalty. Right. My man had 2 sacks. So I got to say this. So between last year's game and this year's game, Niles Gaddy has 4 sacks. How many does Isaiah Lane has? 1.
I knew you was going there. Hey, man. You done?
I'm done.
That's it?
I'm done.
Hey, man. No, I mean, great points, man. And you know what? To add to that, if you look at the one of the things I say from the defensive line standpoint, I really like the way the Coach Weeks utilized his personnel. Starting Jason Mercier, you got Jeremiah Brown coming off the edge, now Gaddy coming off the edge, and then you got Devontae Davis getting that push. Devontae Davis was mainly just clogging up the middle for the most part. He was absorbing a double team. But Niles Gaddy looked like a man that was just out. He looked like he was having some fun. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. He looked like he was having some fun. And he's going to be a problem. I also like I was happy to see my little brother Cameron and Sid McCray come off and get the sack. You even had Justin Reagan. Mike B talked about it. Justin Reagan come over there off the edge and get a sack. You see Antonio Doyle come and get him something.
Everybody got it. Everybody got in on the action.
One more name to throw in there. And I know this ain't defensive line, but we're talking about sacks. JD. Jarente Davis got the strip sack with Big Juice. Hey, Juice, what they call him? Crazy? Juice Riddles? Hey, he grabbed that bad baby. He running down the sideline, man. But
only he would have cut that thing back in. He would have scored.
hey, so, but he on the defense for a reason. But this is to make the point. Zoe made the point already. Is sack and edge rush and defensive line by committee. You saw Jeremiah Williams get some burn. I mean, it was I think we'll see that more often. It's kind of like whoever gets to the quarterback gets to the quarterback. You probably won't see the James Houston-esque type player on this team. But what you will see is, as we did in the previews, I think Zoe might have said it. You get Niles Gaddis, you get 12, and Mercier can get 8, and Jarente Davis get 7. You pretty much make up for the production that you lose with the James Houston. So I like what I saw.
So let's take it here, fellas. Because we touched on it, and specifically Zoe, you casually kind of threw this out leading into this game, and I like how you worded it. You said, well, what if Jackson State's defense is better than UNC's? Right? You just kind of put it out there for people to just kind of. I knew where you were going and why you did it, but you just put it out there to put that thought on people's minds. And I know you have to be careful about well, you don't have to be careful about what you say because you say what's on your mind, but you don't want to come from a standpoint of blue and white glasses on. So you could have told the people that, look, our defense is better than UNC's. What you did, you put it out there and then you gave them a chance to see our defense. Now let's talk about it, because we saw Musa just do his thing against UNC. Now you could say maybe they didn't, we've talked about it. Maybe they did FAMU a favor. They didn't bring the rush, whatever. But either way, we saw him do his thing. But against Jackson State in the first quarter, I saw a man who, to me, I think Musa kind of threw in the towel. He looked pedestrian. And you guys can answer this question for me. At what point did you know that FAMU just laid down, looking at their body language? I saw it early on. First quarter, later in the second quarter.
To me, I'm gonna say first possession, third quarter. To me,
I saw it earlier than that.
Before that,
I saw a team that knew what time it was. They knew that they couldn't be on the same field with Jackson State early on.
21-0. When it got to 21-0, the goose was cooked. Body language changed after Shedeur threw that touchdown. I forget who. It might have been Dallas Daniels. After he basically, at that point, you go back and look at the next drive by Musa. It was just one of them. You could tell the body language was very bad after that. Well, it's kind of built on it.
And to your point, Corey, the reason why I didn't say it and the reason why I asked in the manner that I did was because it goes back to what I always say. And I mentioned this beforehand. Trust me, I understand the value in what I'm saying. I understand that it sounds preposterous. It sounds ridiculous to say the very thing that I'm saying. I understand it. But the fact is what the fact is. And the head coach just happened to co-sign what I'm saying. FAMU's head coach, after the game, stated that Jackson State was a much tougher opponent than what UNC was. So, and I get it because we're an HBCU, we're an FCS program, but this is a Power 5. And so, no, I don't jive in that. I deal with the facts. And the fact is, and I said this during watching the game, because again, I knew what we had and what we're capable of doing. Jackson State defense, and I'm going to look in the camera. Yes, Jackson State University's defense is a much better defense than the University of North Carolina on Tobacco Road, by far.
That just takes on the Coach Prime mindset, though, because that just sounds so, like you said, preposterous. Like it's something that we just can't fathom. But Coach Prime has said from day one that he doesn't look at it like, oh, this is an HBCU. No, this is a college football team.
Exactly.
what does it mean? We're an HBCU? No, we're a college football team.
Or it's Mo Williams.
Same thing, right? Mo Williams, even more specifically, because in basketball, he said we literally compete for the same championship that the Power 5.
Exactly.
So granted, in football, you're not competing for the same championship as UNC, right? But in basketball, you are. So definitely. But Coach Prime, he took those limits or those restraints because he doesn't operate like that. He says, I'm a head coach of a college football program. So why can't my defense be better than UNC's or Alabama's for that matter? Because he said from day one, he's going after the same players that Alabama goes after.
And also, Andrew Ivins from 247 put an article out yesterday. He came to the game to see Travis Hunter, walked away impressed with Coach Deion Sanders, but he even stated that Jackson State's first 22, meaning offense and defense, is on par with those of North Carolina. You say no, they probably can't go out and win an ACC championship this year,
Right now.
i.e. Jackson State. But he said their top 22 is the same thing or better than what they got in North Carolina.
Let me throw this out there though. I don't know why we hesitant on saying it. Look at what UNC gave up 61 on Saturday and gave up 24. But here's what I'll say. The players, it doesn't matter if the same players, well, let's do it this way.
I know.
If you take our 11, our 11 players and put them in a UNC uniform, they got a dominant defense. I'm saying that's what I said on what we say on Sunday night though. Why do we feel like that somehow when these players get to an HBCU and they put an HBCU uniform on, somehow they just lose all their powers? Like what is it? Like Mike?
Right.
We had to lose.
We literally got the number one player in the country. Number one player in the country.
You got a 5-star quarterback that shut a whole side of a field down. All right, let's do it this way. How many you had 5 sophomores that started, and every last one. So I'm just saying, when you go back and look at it, all the DBs were star kids. Cameron Simicraig, 3-star. Herman Smith, 3 stars. Travis Hunter was a 5-star. Jalen Hughes, 3-star. Isaiah Bolden, 4-star. You put that on any team in America, you're gonna have a hard time passing against them.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, I'm just using them as an example, not to mention the linebackers, 2 3-stars. And who did you say Baron Hobson was the 6A defensive player of the year?
Georgia.
You know, when I shared that with somebody, Corey and Zoe, they said, well, did he get it? First thing they asked me, well, did he get an offer from Georgia? I said, well, who cares what he got an offer from?
Michigan, he got offers everywhere.
He got offers from all over the place. And that young man who's excited to be a Jackson State Tiger, and this is what he said, Corey, I'm going to shut up after I say this. Me and Zoe standing right there talking. We got to take a picture with him. You know what he said? We're like, boy, you doing this as a sophomore. And what he said after that, Zoe, he said, I got 2 more years after that to do it too. I still got a junior year and a senior year to do the same thing. And it just lets you know his mindset is, look, I'm young, man. I'm going to ride this wave and continue to get better. And I'm just saying, I don't think we need to pump the brakes when we say it. It's not hyperbole. It's not. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Yeah, I think
gave up 3. UNC is averaging over 40.
Well, the main thing, and this is the underlying thing that I try to bring to everybody, is that the most dominant football player in all of college football is Will Anderson in Alabama, right? And you can look at the most dominant quarterback, but there's only one coveted generational talent in all of football, and he's playing at 1400 Lynch Street. That's Travis Hunter. He's on Jackson State roster. Travis Hunter, I have to say this, you can't minimize it by saying he was a 5-star or he was the number 1 recruit. No, he was the highest rated generational talent in all of recruiting history. And he's playing at Jackson State. And he's at 6%, according to Coach Prime, on Sunday. And he was playing cornerback 1, and he locked his side of the field down. He was thrown to 4 times. He had 2 pass breakups. One of them should have led to a pick 6. Generational talent, but yet the same player, because there's a transfer at one particular school, yet he's going to struggle in the SWAC. Logically, that just doesn't make sense. And so I factor that in. And then you look at what North Carolina did, and it proved me right again, because they have their second game, and you make your greatest game, and we all know this, fellas, from week 1 to week 2, and they regressed after they played FAMU. So
I'll add one thing. I think, Corey and Zoe, what we see taking place with this topic is that we're just conditioned to thinking that could never be. Right. Coach Prime came in with his mantra, said, I believe. And we're now seeing the thing that we always hoped that we could see. And
beyond what we hoped.
So absolutely. So when I go out and say something like Coach Prime giving us the blueprint, this can happen at any HBCU in America. If you get the players, you have the same results, because the players are the ones that make the players are the product. Players are the program. So, we've had a lot of discussion around that, and it's beautiful to see it come to fruition, man, because that team is locked and they loaded and they focused. They very well coached, and that defense is gonna give everybody fits this season. Everybody.
Special teams, guys. So last year, something as simple as a PAT, right? We're on pins and needles, holding our breath. This game, okay, so when you're watching football, the PAT, that's supposed to be a given. Like, we count a touchdown as 7. We don't realize it's 6 + 1. It's 7 points, right? It's how you learn when you're a kid, you learn how to count by sevens because of football, right? But Jackson State, for a Jackson State game for the past year and a half, including spring season, we're actually sitting there watching the PAT, wondering what's going to happen. I found it so refreshing Sunday to not even look at the PAT. That's when, typically you can get your phone or go to the restroom or whatever the case may be. That's what I was doing Sunday. PAT, I wasn't even thinking about it. I'm looking at my phone, checking text messages and stuff like that. So how refreshing is it? Something that's simple, but something that we've been lacking for so long.
So basically all the kids in Jackson had to learn about sixes, right? But I tell you what, Corey, I'm going to go in a whole different direction. And Mata was great. But, man, to be in that and watch, Sam Johnson.
Yeah, I knew he's going to do it. I knew it.
I'm serious. TV is not going to do it justice. It's a thing of beauty. The man, and he only had 2 punts. The first one, it was almost like a 50-yard punt. And the up back didn't touch it enough time to pin them on the 1 yard line. Ended up going to be a touchback. But the second punt, that's what I'm saying. You gotta say to me, Corey, I'm telling you, gotta watch it. No, it's watching the ball come off his foot. It's everything. It's watching the ball come off his foot, the elevation before it gets to the hang time. Because you gotta watch the trajectory of the ball off his foot. I'm serious, man. He's a weapon. We haven't had this. And then when you see the ball, then you see the hang time. I'm telling you. Because his punt doesn't go straight up. It goes, oh my God, I'm telling you, you got to see it.
It has a spiral, Corey. It spirals up, and then it hangs, and then it hooks and drops. It is. But we got a 3-headed monster right now. This is all 3 phases. We have a place kicker, and I want to say Beza was kicking the ball. I mean, he has some really good kicks. They call him Alejandro Automata is what they call him. Si, senor, is what Coach Prime says. Si, senor. But to your point, it felt good to have. This is so cool, man. When you think about it, it's almost NFL-esque because you got one play. Not necessarily NFL-esque. I mean, you got a punter and a kicker that do both place kicking. But to have you have a place kicker, your field goal kicker, and a punter. That's all 3 different guys that's doing 3 different phases of special teams. I gotta say, hats off to Coach Ricard. He did a really good job.
Yes.
It's Gerardo Beza. That's his name slipped me. But Sam Johnson at punter. I mean, Beza with place kicking, and Mata. I mean, looked pretty good. He got when he kicked the 3 the 3 points to give us the 30-something yarder to give us 20. Yeah, so from where we were sitting, it looked, you couldn't really tell that it was as close as it was. When you go back and look at it, I mean, it creaked on the inside, but to get it out of the way and to see it, to your point, I felt really good about it. I never even thought about last season anymore. After I started seeing him make them kicks, I said, we good. We good now. So shout out to Coach Ricard for addressing that, and special team unit look great.
So having said that, does this team have a weakness?
Yes.
And yes. before you say the penalties, because I know Coach Prime, I can imagine how he feels about, was it 100 yards of penalties?
111.
11 penalties for over 100 yards. Yep.
So when I say weakness, I mean something that you may not be able to correct throughout the season because that's your personnel. Last season, the O-line was a weakness, and those were the players that we had. We could try some different schemes, we could switch some guys around, but at the end of the day, we had to wait until we got another recruiting season in to upgrade. Kicking game, same. There's not much we can do to improve the kicking situation throughout the season. Penalties, That's something that you can clean up. So we're going to assume that the coaching staff is going to clean that up. So let's not consider that a weakness.
Okay.
I'll re-ask that question. Does this team have a weakness? Meaning that we're
If you
not going to
put
be
it
able to
like
fix
this,
it until December when we get another recruiting class in.
I would say right now, as of week one, I'm
It's
gonna
week
say
one. It's week one. We
as
get
of
it.
week, as of
Based
week
on
one,
what we've seen, if we can continue and obviously even improve, does this team have a weakness?
as of week one, no. You know,
so what's your
I talked to Ken earlier. In my own heart of heart opinion, the only thing that Jackson State University really needs to concern themselves with is staying grounded, staying focused, and keeping their eye with some tunnel vision on the opponent. But I know because of Coach Prime, they're going to have tunnel vision because he's going to apply pressure. He's going to keep his foot on their neck, literally, to stay focused on the task at hand. I think as long as Jackson University doesn't lose focus, doesn't overlook an opponent, and I believe they'll come prepared. If they do those three things, then no, this team does not have a weakness.
Let me address that, Ken. Joe, I know Ken, you want to jump in, but let me tell you why I don't think that'll be a problem because of the depth and the competition in practice. You can't become complacent. So if there's a guy who looks at the schedule and say, "Oh, that's Valley next week, whatever," guess what? There's somebody, a third stringer who didn't start last week, who has an opportunity to move into the starting lineup against that Valley. And we're using Valley for an example, right? So guess what he's going to do? He's going to give it his all in practice. So there may be a guy here and there that may lose focus, but he'll just get replaced and he may not even make the trip.
I would say it this way, man. As a complete football team, this is probably arguably the most complete team I've ever seen Jack State have at one time. And this is not forget the discipline. I'm telling you, from top to bottom,
it's true.
All three phases of the game, the level of depth, to your point, the level of competition, the magnitude of the coaching additions, strength and conditioning, in spite of the circumstances that we're dealing with as a city, as a community. My goodness, man, I was blown away. I mean, I'm like I said, man, it's a great day to be a JSU Tiger. I'm serious. This was and look, this ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about, but man, they put on the retro blue and white on Sunday, and it felt nostalgic. You know what I'm saying? But this wasn't. I ain't never seen what we saw today. What we saw on Sunday. I never seen that. I've seen dominance in certain areas, but we would struggle over here. Like you have a really good defense and subpar quarterback play and a crappy kicker. But this is the most complete team I think I've ever seen after week one. Now, granted, like you said, it has to be consistent.
This week one. That's why I said if we continue to see what we saw, that's what I mean. But based on,
and I agree with you, man, because Coach Scheid, first thing he said was, "Man, we got to go 1-0 this week. Back to business, back to getting focused." So what that tells me, for him to put that out there, for Coach Brewster to put that out there, it tells me that this is the dialogue that they're having. Coach Bartoloni, it's a 1-0 mentality every single week. They don't think about 13-0. We say that. That's us talking. They look at 1-0. They look at their opponent. They look at what's in front of them. But yes, based off the way you worded it, this team does not have a weakness from a unit standpoint that needs to be addressed in off season from a recruiting standpoint. They'll just be able to do their regular due diligence when it comes to recruiting and continuously trying to out-recruit the guys that they got in the room.
And remember, we have to be mindful that as dominant as we were in everything, to go into your question, this was the third-ranked team in all of HBCU football that we did this to.
Mm-hmm. And, we talk about that depth, but we weren't at full strength. If you just look at some key names that, either didn't make the trip or didn't get into the game or didn't get much playing time. But obviously, no Malachi Whiteman, obviously no Shiloh Sanders, right? No Katron Evans.
Yeah.
No, who else? True Thompson? Frankie Burgess?
No True Thompson. Frankie Burgess. I mean, no Big Boosie. You didn't see Big Boosie. You didn't see Jelani Davis. You didn't see some key names that were out there. You didn't see them make this trip. And it's not to say that they won't, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you another name that you didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see Tony Gray.
Tony Gray. Yeah,
Kevion Mullins.
I'm just saying, like, if he was there, I missed him.
He wasn't.
You know what I mean?
He
It
wasn't.
wasn't.
Tony Gray is an all swag player, man. You know, returning on the squad and didn't even make the trip. I mean, so my point is, if them guys that didn't make this trip was looking at that game the way we was looking at it, you can bet your bottom dollar they're gonna be playing hard this week at practice.
It was for the mark.
Get on that bus going up to Memphis. Oh yeah. Oh, you can bet your bottom dollar on that one. So I absolutely believe that, like you said, Corey, the level of competition. I had people asking, how about Sergeant Turley? You know what I mean? Like, did he make?
Man,
he
it's
got
so
Cole
many.
Cooper's
It's so
Cole
many,
Cooper's
man.
son, Jackson Berry, so many linebackers that are in that room and DBs and it make the trip.
I tell you what, to add to your point, Ken and Corey, you know, we sit there and we talk about the opponents that we're going to face on the weekend, but Coach Prime made a statement earlier in the summer workouts where he pretty much said, you know, we talk about rivalry. He said, no, man, the rivalry we're going to have is going to be at practice. So our toughest game is not going to be Saturday. Our toughest game is going to be tomorrow.
It looked like a scrimmage for Shedeur in that offense. It looked like a scrimmage. I would imagine that it's tougher for those guys in practice.
And see, that's another thing too.
My nephew was with us, and he said, "Oh man, it looked like Shedeur was practicing, man."
It was. I mean,
he said it looked like a practice. He said, but you know what? Speaking of Shedeur, we asked this question on our preview, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Vitale and Norman Douglas didn't make the trip. Grayson, shout out to Grayson.
Yep.
Grayson Thompson. He secured that third quarterback spot. You know, JP Andrade obviously back up QB2, but I wanted to mention that. Oh, and then the other quarter, we had 6 quarterbacks. 3 of them didn't make the trip. So it just speaks to the level of depth.
But that goes to, you know, the thing as well, you know, saying that the toughest game we have is going to be on tomorrow. It's going to be the toughest game.
Mm-hmm.
But when we say that, again, it sounds preposterous or you know, or pompous to say that, but it's factual. And I'm not saying it with any arrogance. It's factual. The toughest.
This is how you look at it. You ask yourself, will this offense face a defense as good as our defense?
No.
Because we have the best defense in the SWAC, right?
By far.
The best defense in HBCU football?
By far.
Do we have the best defense in FCS? I mean, it hasn't been proven, but could we? Possibly. Is it fair to say possibly? Okay.
Very well could possibly be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So based on that means that they face the toughest defense in practice. That means they won't see a defense as tough as what they see in practice.
Exactly.
If I had to, but let me throw this in there real quick. If I had to name one team that I would think that would give even the closest when it comes to defense, I'm gonna say Homecoming, man. I just bookmark that for me. And I'm only saying that, Corey, because of the speed that the defense plays with. I gotta dock my hat off. I know they had the second-ranked recruiting class 2 years after us, and the speed jumps off the film. So, I mean, maybe what they saw. I mean, they did play against a team that run a triple option. So maybe I didn't see what I did see. But you're all right. I think they are facing the best defense in all of FCS, and I don't think it's coach speak. You could throw North Dakota State or anybody else you want to throw in there. I'm telling you right now, Jackson State has the #1 defense in all of FCS. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that, and I ain't gonna bat an eye about it. What we saw was pure dominance.
Listen,
we scored 3 times, man, and it could have been 4.
Scored in all phases of the game as well. But Shedeur told us this at SWAC Media Day 2021. He told us about this defense that he's facing in practice, and that defense has gotten even better. It's safe to say. I think it's finally safe. We've been kind of hinting at it, but people on the outside said there's no way you could lose to James Houston, and then even in Antoine Owens as well, and a couple other guys in the secondary and be better. But I think we showed that we're a lot better. All right. So let's give out some not game balls, but just some other names that we want to shout out. I know we gave Shedeur, obviously we're going to give him his love. We were able to give Dimitri his love, but some other names, I'll start off with 2. I'll start with 1, K5, because I know we talked about him offline. So talk about an improvement from year 1 to year 2. Man, that kid balled out. That is a player.
But you know what? We talked about that play today. I urge everyone to go back and watch that play. FAMU had just got a first down, right?
Yep.
They were going to hurry up. It was first down. They were trying to hurry up the catchers off guard. And the irony that, because I think that it speaks to what? Game film watching.
Absolutely.
Preparation. And K5 literally had just got set.
Yeah. Because I didn't think he was set. Yeah.
He had just got set when the play got off because they were going no huddle, no rushing. And they still picked that pass. And that pass was going to Xavier Smith, by the way. So Xavier Smith got a pass throwing him that was got intercepted for a pick six. He got his bell rung by Barron Hobson. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Xavier Smith ended up having about 3 or 4 catches. So like Isaiah Land, one of your best players, we eliminate the best players at Jackson State because last year Xavier Smith caught 1 ball. This year I think he caught 3. So he caught 4 passes.
4 for 26.
4 for 26 yards, and he caught 1 last year. So he hasn't totaled in all the career games against Jackson State. He hadn't totaled 100 yards in his career games against Jackson State. So again, that speaks to what we did. And again, K5 started 4 or 5 games last year as a true freshman, coming back as a sophomore, an experienced sophomore, and he get a pick 6 in his first game.
It was not just not only was it the pick 6, but when you go into that red zone, when they were trying to get ready to score, that led to the turnover and downs. That last pass, matter of fact, the pass that was the turnover on downs, K5 had a really good pass breakup. I mean, I just think his technique is there. I think when you Travis was nursing an injury, so that competition level that you saw in practice, he got a lot of reps. When you go and look at the practice film, he jumped off the film at the scrimmages. I mean, those guys are competing. They flying around and they having fun, man. So they got a really good defensive backs coach, and he definitely made a leap, man. Looked really good. He's gonna get a lot more balls, but I don't know what they're gonna do, Corey. So if they get scared to go to Travis and K5 on the other side locking things down, you probably just gonna have to hold the ball and run up the middle and hope you can get a first down with your legs or something. I'm telling you, man, after a while, it just looked like, we just basically just blanketed the whole field, with the DBs that we got. But as far as K5, definitely a really good jump from year 1 to year 2. He looks comfortable.
Well, for me, I was going to say, for me, the player that really, really stood out to me, and I've been singing his praises all of last year, man, Herman Smith, man.
That's what I was going to say.
Definitely I want to say that. Go ahead, man.
Herman Smith balled out. And look, we all know that, he dropped that pick 6. It was going to be a touchdown. But here's the other thing. He dropped another interception.
He did.
He came in on a pass late where I can't think of who the corner was. We actually played zone, believe it or not. He came in late and got a hand on the ball. He actually should have intercepted that ball. I mean, he had quick range to get it. That would have been 2 interceptions. But, man, he was all over the field. A couple of plays, man, he literally came from the free safety spot, come halfway across the field, man, for tackles and to dislodge balls. Because he actually made 2 hits to dislodge some balls during this game. So he was active. You're talking about recovering a punt for a touchdown. Literally, he had 2 pass breakups. Both of them should have been interceptions. And then he had about 4 tackles. I mean, he was all over the field, man, in his first career start.
Yeah. I mean, several players, most of the players I would mention would come out of the DB room. More specifically, I would say Isaiah Bolden. I mean, he talked to us about his desire to want to prove to everybody that he could cover, that he's one of the best DBs in the country. He said, I know I'm the best returner, but people sleeping on my DB skills, and for him to be his size, long arms, the ability to man up in the slot. We know HBCU, I say SWAC quarterbacks, their favorite target is that slant route. So he's gonna get a lot of work, just like CJ Holmes did last season. But I would say him. But I got to go with my brother, man. Cameron Seaman Craig just did Cameron Seaman Craig killer cam type thing. Man.
He's just doing cam
he
things.
Showed up. He's everywhere, man. The kid is special, man. He's special. But one additional player I do want to mention, I want to shout out. Zoe took my Cali Thunder. I got to shout out my boy Tavion Beasley, man, coming in getting his first interception. Now I know he probably didn't play as much as some of the other players that we talked about, but for him to come in and make an impact, definitely a true freshman. You can say Barron Hobson. I mean, it's just the youth, man, on this team. Super sophomores and the youth.
Say that.
It was amazing to see, man. You know, that's on the defensive side. I ain't even touched the offense yet, but I'll pause there.
No, that's it. I mean, we could go on and on all day. I just wanted to shout out some individuals. Anybody from the offense you want to shout out, definitely go ahead and do it before we wrap up. I definitely want to give you guys some shine because there was a lot of guys who were very impressive. And I'm talking about guys who we didn't see it as much from them last season, like a Herman Smith.
Well, one thing I want to definitely give my guy kudos. He didn't have a great, performance, but I just want to shout out Jency, man. Jackson State, the course, been putting in work and, got a big reception and he looked like, he looks as advertised.
He's gotten bigger. You can see it.
Coach Mo, man, we don't just be up here talking for the sake of it, man. We told you Coach Mo put in work, and the analogy I use, we're not just saying it because he got a whole bunch of billboards out there showing you it's proof positive that he's put in the work. We can name several guys. Look at them. They're out there. You see them. And all I can say is I urge you to look at these same kids in the Celebration Bowl, which is the last game, and look at them now.
Look at their bodies.
You can see the billboards that are out there, but definitely want to shout out Jency. Definitely want to shout out Willie Gaines on a big pass. Like I said, these guys didn't have outstanding numbers, but, man, they answered the call when their name was called. They stepped up and made big plays for the offense. Jency's getting better as a blocker. Shout out Hayden for coming in. You know what I'm saying?
Don't take everybody, though. Let me get a little bit. Save me a little bit, man. He's going to name the whole offense. And I'm stopping you for a reason because you're not going to do this to me. I got to shout out DJ Stevens. I told you he was going to start. I want to show my brother some love, man. My Madison County brethren. He a legacy kid, man. DJ stayed the course, bro. And he had 3 receptions. And he had one key play that I thought was a thing of beauty. The blocking strategy on Isaiah Land, where you saw where Bartolone brought him in motion. And Shador hiked the ball, and the first thing he did is side crack Isaiah Land, and they do a swing to Tito, man. Had a wide open lane to basically get a first down. I just thought the offensive coordinator did an amazing job, man, not being predictable. I think we know football enough to where in times past there have been some predictability, but I wanted to mention DJ Stevens and one last player I'll mention because I just y'all know I love Savion Wilkerson. I'm a fan of his style of running. But is there a running back that runs harder than 38, man? 38 means hard, man.
So much heart, man.
I'm not going to mention no more players, but I just had to say, shout out to Tito, man. That young man runs hard. And when he get hit, it don't matter, Corey, it don't matter how hard he get hit, he pop right back up. He ready to go. And I just love his motor. I see why Coach Prime loved him. I see why Coach Prime gave him a scholarship, man. So, hey, man, so many players we can mention. If we fail to mention anybody, hey, man, it's a whole team effort, and we was just really impressed with what we saw.
Yeah, it was total team effort. Yeah, we can't name everybody, but over the course of the season, I can see this repeating itself. So we get plenty more opportunities to name some guys. But last thing, shout out to Coach Bartolone, obviously outstanding debut as an offensive coordinator. And I encourage everyone to go back and listen to his show that Tiger Talk recorded right after Coach Bartolone was announced. I think it was January 22nd, January 23rd. Go back and find that show. And I say you guys because I wasn't on that show. That was Ken, Clark, Zoe, and Shaq. You guys nailed it. You guys told us exactly what we were getting, what to expect, how they were going to utilize the players, why they were recruiting the way they were recruiting. And you guys nailed it. I mean, obviously, it's one game. We get it. We're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. But everything that you guys said on that show is starting to already come to fruition. So shout out to you guys for calling.
Can I throw one thing in there? I told Zoe this when Zoe and I talked, kind of today. Coach Prime in his post-game press conference referenced, he said when he was on the plane, kind of dozed off, and he woke up, heard Coach Bartolone. I want to say it was it Shador and Coach Bartolone talking. And he said he was asking the question, He said he got every single blitz package that they could possibly throw at us. He had it down. He was trying to think, was there anything that I was doing? And he said he knew then it was going to be a good birthday. I thought he had shouted out Zoe when he said that. It was going to be a birthday present. So, because Corey said, Corey puts out the social media, Zoe get an early birthday present. So I said, man, if Coach shout out Zoe, you ain't gonna be able to tell him nothing else again. Head gonna swell up, he gonna fall away.
It can't get any bigger.
But yeah, shout out to Coach Bartolone, man. And definitely, I put out a tweet. One last thing, I put out a tweet because St. John Bosco, the #1 high school in the nation right now, out of Trinity, California, school that Tavion Beasley come from. They retweeted it. I like to interact with them because I'm on the West Coast. I say, hey man, Cali kids at HBCUs, Coach Bartolone liked it because Coach Bartolone is from Whittier, California, LA, and he's proud of what he's seeing from the guys in this Cali bunch on our roster. So good stuff, man.
Definitely. All right, fellas, what a way to start off the season. We're not going to get too excited. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but that's it. One game at a time. We'll just say we're 1-0. Looking forward to, a tough upcoming matchup against Tennessee State. We're going to get everyone's best shot. We know that, but this Tennessee State team is much improved. We'll have a preview of that game. Looking forward to seeing everybody in Memphis, but one game at a time. But great job, Coach Prime, staff, players. Let's keep it up.
Good stuff, man. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, I love Go Tigers.
And that'll do it for episode 265 of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcast and Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. We're looking to do some big things with this platform to aid the athletics department, and it all starts with you. Downloading, subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show. And tell every Tiger that you know. We're on all podcast outlets. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Video, YouTube, and so on. And we'll be posting each episode on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. As always, thanks for your support. Go Tigers. Hashtag I believe. Hashtag the I love.